Welcome to Love Unshaken with Jasenia.
And I'm Rob. And we're going to do things a little different. We want to start off a series. We want to start doing some short series where we hit some specific topics. And the first series we want to do is strengthening your faith. So we're going to hit a couple topics just about strengthening faith. And the first one is how to trust God in difficult times. What do you think?
Well, that's a tricky one in the sense that when we're going through trials and tribulations or we're going through some really difficult times,
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy to just stop praying or just feel like you don't want to have that relationship with God, or you
Mm-hmm.
feel like disappointed in God. A lot of people, depending on what the situation may be,
Mm-hmm.
may feel angry at God
Yes.
because they were put in those difficult situations. And so what I'm gonna be honest, like I've experienced it myself.
Yes,
I
I
have
have to.
felt,
I have to.
angry and maybe even disappointed, to say the least. About situations that I was in, and I would, question God, like, why am I
Mm-hmm.
going through this? Why am I, you know, being put in this situation? Um, but what I've learned is that, God is with us, that
Yes.
regardless of what situation um we face, whatever situation, is before us, like he will be with us and he will walk with us.
Yes. Yes. So I want to just lead off with some scripture, if
Mhm.
that's okay. And I got Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. And it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And also I want to add Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. That is simply put, trust God.
Mhm.
Both of those scriptures simply put it is to let go and to let God. And I know, like you said before, it's difficult in certain times, especially difficult times to trust in the Lord. But you have to understand that He does everything for your good.
Mhm.
He does. He doesn't do anything to hurt you or to harm you. He only works for your good.
Mhm. I also want to read John 14, verse 1, where Jesus is talking to his disciples and he tells them, do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and also trust in me.
Yes, yes. You have to trust in the Lord. You have
Right.
to.
So we may not understand why we're going through those situations, through those difficult um, situations or those dark times. But we have to remember that even though we may not know why, we know that He is with us, and we need to
Yes,
find comfort in knowing that He is with us, that He's going to walk with us through those valleys.
yes. And sometimes your faith is tested and your faith grows in hardship.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in those situations, instead of asking God why, you should ask God what He wants you to learn in those
Mm-hmm.
situations, in those struggles. Because a lot of times you go through those struggles so you can come out stronger, so you can learn something, so God can teach you something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like a lot of, even in my own personal life, if I've ever gone through something difficult,
Hmm.
again, I may not know why I'm going through those times, but, fast forward a couple of years later,
Hmm.
you know, that that difficult time helped me help someone else.
Yes, of course, and that's how you have to look at it. Is sometimes God will use you to
Hmm.
help others. He'll use your struggles to help others.
Right,
Yes,
right, right.
yes.
And I feel like even, in those dark times, like, you know, um, when I was helping another person
Hmm.
going through that, like I needed to go through
Yes,
the situation myself. I
yes.
needed to have that type of perspective,
Hmm.
that experience in order to help others deal with those situations. And you know, I think at the time when you're going through hard times, you may not always feel like God is with you.
Hmm.
And again, like fast forwarding, you then know that like it could have been worse. Like God
Yes.
was with you. He was
Hmm.
covering you. He was protecting you.
Yes.
And that's always like amazing to realize, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm. It
because it's
is.
really easy to be blinded when you're going through challenging times and to not, always see what God is doing for you.
Yes, it is. In difficult times, a lot of people, the last thing they want to do is trust in God.
Hmm.
A lot of times people run away from God through those times.
Hmm.
They make it seem like God is actually the one doing those things to them, when it's not.
Yeah.
God is not the enemy. The situation is the enemy.
Hmm.
And in a marriage, that's how you have to look at it. You have to come together in a marriage and you have to attack the problem, attack the struggle,
And not each other.
and not each other, and definitely don't blame God.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. And
Hmm.
we also have to realize that like we are living in a fallen world. This is not the way God intended us to
No,
live.
no.
He did not intend us to live, with all the things that you see happening around us that are, just bad and sad. And um he wanted us to live in Eden. He wanted us to
Yes.
live in this amazing place, but because we decided to sin, we live in this fallen world, and
Hmm.
we're so quick to always, blame things on God, but we have to remember that because of our sin, we live in this world where, you know, right now it seems like, Satan has the upper hand in the sense that, everything around us is very sinful, and
Yes.
so we have
Hmm.
to remember that this is not really the way
God
this is not the
intended
way
us.
God intended us to
No,
live.
it's not. It's not. We have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. So bad things are going to happen even to those
Yes.
that believe in God.
Yes. It says it in scripture.
Hmm.
We are going to be persecuted here on
Hmm.
earth. It's going to be difficult here on earth.
Right.
But we got to trust in God, trust in Jesus, and there's a promised land waiting for us. You
Hmm.
have to know that, you have to trust that, you have to believe that.
Hmm.
That there's a promised land waiting for us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. You got to trust in God, and that doesn't mean that you'll have all the answers in that
Hmm.
in that moment. That just means that trusting in God, that comfort is going to give you comfort through those
Hmm.
hard times, and you know that God is working on your side and God is working for your good.
Hmm.
That's what trusting in God through hard times is.
Absolutely.
Yes.